You see here, kid? You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after or what came before. You just gotta bend your knees, take a deep breath, and jump. And you might think, what if I fall? Well, what if you don't? What if you fly?
Switching command to internal.
From the Collaborative Studios, Open the Eye, where metaphysical, paranormal, and the unexplained meet. Open the Eye with Tanya Tyler.
So in 2009, I had this healing that changed my life. We always have healings that they do change our lives, but this one, it shifted me. I was down in Fort Myers, Florida, and I was working radio morning show, and my husband and I were trying to get pregnant, and we had a miscarriage here and there. And I had just gotten out of a dark night of the soul a couple of years prior. And a dark night of the soul is when I always say the universe kind of stops you in your path and wakes you up and shifts you for some reason. And it can happen maybe because of a death, the loss of a job, divorce, something like that. It just stops you and you're just down on your knees in the dark night of the soul. So I was on my spiritual journey, walking through, and I came across this amazing little metaphysical shop. And I went in, and this golden, beautiful, bright light lady came up to me and started talking to me. And she was an energy practitioner, and she was telling me her story, and I was just so mesmerized by it. But I heard my soul say, you need to be on her table. So I made an appointment, and it was the first time that I had ever been on a amethyst bed. She had an amethyst mat, and I laid on it. So she's doing her thing, and all of a sudden, through my eyelids, I could see this bright green light above me. So I'm thinking she's doing maybe some color therapy on me. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Next thing I know, I felt like I was off planet, and I was laying on this stone table, and I saw all these big white beings around me, probably about maybe 8. They had the green light and they were using it on me. And I wasn't scared, but I was just so connected to who they were. And I knew that they were there to heal me. That's all I know. Next thing I know, I'm back in my body and she's waking me up. And I have the honor 15 years later to have her on the show. I want to say, welcome, Janet, energy practitioner. And you are amazing. And I'm so excited to have you on the show to share your story, what you're doing, how you went from corporate America to what you're doing now, what you're doing with Mother Gaia, and how important this is right now, this time of where we are in this world. So Janet, welcome.
Thank you so much, Tanya. I appreciate so much that lovely, lovely introduction. And, just knowing that your work touches someone's life and to hear that feedback is really quite amazing. So thank you so much.
Oh, you were amazing. So let's talk about corporate America. Where were you and how you got to where you are now?
Okay, so this is probably back in the late 90s. I'm going to say 98, 99. I'm working for Chrysler Corporation in Huntsville, Alabama. And I'm an administrative assistant, AKA secretary. I had been having these very synchronistic things happen to me. I would overhear a conversation and someone would be talking about energy healing. I'm just a country bumpkin little girl, always lived in the Bible Belt in the South. Energy healing was very foreign to me. So I grew up in organized religion, which I've always had a problem with, but it's all I knew at the time. I was walking through a bookstore. There's no one else around. This book just fell at my feet off the top shelf. And I looked down and I picked up the book, and it was Conversations with God, Volume 1 by Neil Donald Walsh. Well, that book stuck to my hands like glue. And so I had to purchase that book, bring it home, and start reading that. And I read it till it was just dog-eared and couldn't wait for Volume 2 to come out and then subsequently Volume 3. But that's a little on further down the line. But one day I'm sitting at my desk, I'm working, and I'm thinking about all these very synchronistic things that I've experienced in the last several weeks. And I had a friend, Deb. I called her my woo-woo friend. She had gotten me a massage for my birthday, and she was just a very special person. And she came to my desk, and I was kind of talking to her about, some of these things that I had experienced and about energy healing, and did she know anything about that? And she said, well, the lady I got the massage for you with, her husband does energy healing. And I said, oh, okay. Yeah, I remember meeting him. And I said, but truthfully, I don't know. I don't really resonate with him. And she said, several years ago, I had a lady that I went to see because I was going through some really emotional, traumatic events in my life. And she said, let me see, what was her name? What was her name? And then she said, oh, her name is Susan Spalding. And when I heard this lady's name, it was like this voice, it boomed in my inner hearing that said, teacher, mentor. And I said, wow, thanks, Deb. I think I just got my answer. So she left my desk, and I turned around and immediately looked up her number, and I called her. So I got this sweet lady on the phone, little Southern belle, and I told her exactly, verbatim, what had happened, to me with Deb. And I said, I would like to make an appointment to have a session with you. And she said, okay, well, you want to come over tomorrow after work? And I said, absolutely. That was the beginning of my journey. And I will just tell you this about that very first session with her. And this modality is not very well known, but it's very powerful in my book. It's called directional healing. And it's a beautiful story. Anyway, she's just a wonderful person. I lay down on the table to have a session. Now, I've never had a session of any kind at any time. And I just remember I believe she was sitting at my head. And I kept thinking she was at my feet, and I would kind of open my eyes because I could feel someone at my feet. But she was at my head. And then I just drifted off into that beautiful space of nothingness. And all of a sudden, I saw this explosion. It was like fireworks. All these beautiful, violet, purple, gold, magenta colors. And it was just, I was just fascinated. I was just so enamored with it. And I don't know how long I watched that. Evidently, it was a lot longer than I realized, because in a bit, she was waking me up, just like you expressed in our session. I just remember sitting up on the table, still mesmerized in that state, and I said, do you teach this? And she said, yes, I do. It's like pulling teeth getting information from this woman. And I said, okay, can I learn it? I want to sign up. I need to do this. There's no doubt in my mind. Time ticks on. I do go through this training. It takes me a bit over a year. And then I find myself doing sessions for mostly people that I worked with, like Deb and many others.
At Chrysler, you were... At
Chrysler,
You were doing little sessions like on the break, or just, hey, come over to my house?
No, girl, they came over to my house. I bought myself a massage table. I was so excited.
Aww.
It was really just an amazing time. And it was really so wonderful because of the feedback I got from people that laid on the bed and received a session. And so, many days I would come home from work and I would have like 3 people lined up. It was amazing. It was truly, truly an amazing experience.
Some of the feedback that you were getting.
Well, the feedback could be anything from confirmations, like things that I could not possibly know, experiences that, that had been traumatic to them in their lives. And they would say they had felt whatever part of their body that had affected, they would get a glimpse of that experience and then have that feeling of that release. So it was many times a physical healing, but not always, because many times it was mental and emotional healing.
Directional healing. Is it similar to Reiki?
Well, it's a little like Reiki. I know Reiki involves all these, symbols that you memorize and all, so that's very different. But, of course, the objective is the same. It's healing.
You're using yourself as a conduit. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I'm merely the catalyst for the energy to flow. I don't know if you remember, but when I would sit at your feet, I would just lightly touch different points on your feet. And I'm sure those are acupuncture points for different things. And it's for different areas of the body, physically and as well as the chakra system. When I'm touching a point on your foot, I feel the energy that courses through my hands, and I can feel if it's erratic or too fast or lethargic, so I'm holding that point, and I can feel the energy running through me, through my hands, into the person on the table. So what I'm waiting for is for that energy to balance. And it's just a sense of knowing, okay, now that point is balanced. The energy feels good. It feels like it's flowing perfectly, unimpeded. So I do several points at your feet, and then I would go to your head, and I would touch points on the head, on the crown, and then I would sit at your head for some period of time, which could be 20 minutes, it could be 40 minutes. I just never know, what that time would be. That was called the soul healing part of the session. This is where many times I would simply leave my body. Sometimes I would bring back information. Sometimes I would not, or at least not that I would remember. But if there was something, anything that I needed to relay to that person on the table, that information would come through. Sometimes it was truly amazing because I would have no way of knowing things. And it was very, very clear, very, very clear. And so many, just thinking about everybody's journeys, what amazing things and what traumatic things have happened to people in their lives.
And what a beautiful process for you to be able to help balance them and heal.
Oh, it was, because anytime, that healing is flowing through me to them, well, I'm a recipient as well. Mm-hmm. So I always benefited from facilitating a session for someone.
We're talking to Janet, who is an energy practitioner. Janet, did you have anything like this when you were a younger child?
Not anything like I experienced with this healing modality. As a child, in the Bible Belt, actually being forced to go to church and being extremely uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Now, my mother, I can remember, my mother had a lot of health problems, and she was much older. She was 40 when she gave birth to me. But I remember her asking me one day, now I think I'm about the age of 12, and she said, Jan, my back hurts so bad. She says, I can barely move. And I said, well, where does it hurt, Mother? And I remember placing my hand on her back. And I was just taken aback, because I could feel the energy flowing through my hand into her body. And I remember her sitting straight up and saying, oh my, the pain is gone. I didn't know what to think about that. And, in a little bit, I never gave it another thought, didn't think about it for many years till I was in my 40s, did the memory come back to me.
Wow. So nothing else, you never went back into that door. I always say when the universe is ready for you to stand up, do your job, the book falls. And that's a great,
That's right.
That's a great book, Conversations with God. That good read if anybody's interested in that. So,
Yes.
how do you? Well, let me first ask you: is your husband, was he like open to this healing art that you're practicing while you're at Chrysler?
He's tolerant. He's very tolerant. But he's also very supportive, because he'll say, "I don't really understand this." He's not had those experiences. But he said, "If that's what you need to do, then, you do it."
So he was supportive in the beginning, tolerant in the beginning. While you're doing this afterwards, people are coming into your home. So
Right.
instead, so how long were you did your training for a year, and then you're practicing after? How long from when you, I guess, got done with your training until you quit? How long was that?
So working at Chrysler is getting to be pretty rocky during that time. It was in 2004, 2003 or 2004, early 2004, I'm pretty sure. And Chrysler offered a buyout. And synchronistically at the same time, my husband turned 62, and he said, "I'm going to retire. Tired of doing this. I've done it for 28 years, and I'm done."
He's at Chrysler too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's where we met. And so I'm telling you, I made a beeline to human resources and said, "Okay, I want the buyout. I'm leaving. We're out of here." And I was the first one to sign up.
Wow.
And oddly enough, we had been visiting Cape Coral which is Southwest Florida, for 3 or 4 years. We would just visit and, vacation there. And we had decided when we did leave Chrysler that we would move there, which is exactly what we did. We had a house built, moved there, and it's another part of the story, but it's kind of funny, really. We had a lady stop at our house. Our house had just been completed, and this lovely lady stopped by our house, and she said, because it was kind of in an isolated area, we had just moved in to our home in Cape Coral, Florida. So I hear a knock at the door. I go to the door, and she said, "I was just passing by your house," and she said, "I wonder if you could tell me the colors that you painted the outside of your house. We are building a house, and I love these colors." Well, she comes in. We chat a little bit. She actually worked for Keller Williams.
Of course. That's what we do. That's my other hat. I work at Keller Williams. I'm a real estate agent. So of course, that's what we do. We knock on the door.
It's funny how things dovetail.
Yeah.
But my husband, because he'd been in real estate before, part-time, even while he worked at Chrysler, because he's a people person. He just loves people. Mm-hmm. After talking with her, he decided, well, I think I'll get my Florida real estate license. He says, "Come on." He says, "Get it with me." And I'm like, "No, I don't think that's what I want to do." Well, when you take your kid to a department store and they want a toy,
yeah,
and you say, "Please, Mama, please get me this toy, please." No. "Okay, if you'll just shut up, I'll get you the toy." Well, that's kind of what happened. I said, "If you'll just shut up, I'll get my license with you." So anyway, I had my license for about 18 months, and I said, "You know what, bud? I love you. I'm not doing this another minute." So I sent my license back. He continued and always did very well. But I decided I would not. With this same lady, because we eventually did work with Keller Williams, and she called me one day because she knew that she knew we had talked enough that she knew a little bit about the energy healing side of who I am. And she called me and she said, "There's a little store, a little metaphysical store. I would like to go visit." She said, "Would you like to go with me?" And I said, "Well, Yes, I would. So we went, and when I walked into the store, and I don't know that you ever met this lady. Her name was Maria.
Yeah, Maria. Yeah. Lori,
Okay.
Maria. I remember all of them. Yeah.
Oh, girl, what a memory you have.
Yeah.
Well, when I walked in and I saw Maria, and she's I always call her my Cuban goddess. I knew her immediately. I mean, I knew that we knew each other, and so did she. I mean, we had that immediate recognition. And anyway, I started talking to her, and I went in to see her, several times. And then one day she said, "Why don't you come and offer your healing sessions here in the shop?" She says, "I'm getting ready to open up another room." And she said, "You can have that room." I'm like, whatever would make me say no? So, of course. So that's really how I got established in Southwest Florida area that way.
That's wild, because I remember it was part of that little crystal store, and then she had another area around the corner. And so I had gone in, and I was like, "Oh, there's another little area. I'm going to go in." And then that's when I met you. You walked out, and you were like, you were new. You were just establishing yourself, and just as you said, how your soul connected to Maria, I instantly connected to you. You were telling me your soul, and I heard inside me, you need to be on her table. Instantly, you need to be. And I remember saying, "Do you have any openings right now?" "Oh, do you have any openings?" And you had one later that day. And so I remember coming back, and that was my first session with you. And yeah, I remember it was like magnificent. I'll always remember the session. And you've got a special gift. And I like how you mentioned, because people, all of us, get connection with other souls. And we hear that, like, "I know you from somewhere," or "Don't I know you? How do we know each other?" I mean, it's just part of our soul connection with others. And I liked how you said that. So how long were you practicing on people? But you weren't doing real estate. And so you were actually a practitioner, an energy practitioner. How long were you doing that?
Oh, let's see. That's a very good question. 2012.
Okay. And you were working on people, and now you aren't working on people anymore.
My family or whatever. But you do a session for me, of course. I will do that.
But you're primarily not taking clients, like new clients or anything like that.
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Because you're doing something different.
Yeah, it was vastly different for me because it's so, I had my teacher that taught directional healing. She's my foundation. And now I'm flying by the seat of my pants because I don't have a clue what I'm supposed to be doing. But I remember spirit, and I say spirit. I don't have, guides that I have names for, and I'm sure I do have guides, but I just simply refer to it as spirit because guide, we're all one, that underlying oneness of all life. So I simply say spirit. So I heard spirit say, "It is time to move. You will no longer be doing one-on-one sessions. You will now be doing planetary and universal work."
Janet, we're going to take a little break and we'll be back. We'll talk about what you're doing right now, the planetary universal work. Why is it so important to all of us as mankind evolves? Also, give us a little information on the Lionsgate portal that is open right now. And why are some of these things so important to us? And if you're interested in being a guest, or you know of someone that would be a great guest on the show, or if you have a comment, email me, opentheeye, just like your eyeball, 13 @gmail.com. You can also call the studio at 512-722-3266 and stream us every Monday night Central Time on kwvh.org. I'm Tanya Tyler. This is Open the Eye. We'll be right back. We're talking to Janet. She is an energy practitioner. I have been connected to her for about 15 years. We met in Southwest Florida when she was doing energy work one-on-one with people. She was no longer doing one-on-one with people. She is now doing something a little different. So before we get into the Lionsgate energy work that you are doing, talk about the transition from the one-on-one to you're hearing spirit say you are no longer doing one-on-one. You're going to do something a little different. What are you doing?
Okay, so when Spirit said that, I, of course, immediately told the lady that owned the store that I would be leaving. I would be glad to help her find another energy healer, and so So a little time ticks on, and I am guided to, I don't know if you ever went out there. It was the mounds off in Pine Island.
Oh, yeah.
And it's where native tribes were many years ago, and then the Spaniards came in and blah, blah, blah. But on this on this beautiful area, and there are many mounds out there, I was drawn to go out there with a friend of mine. We just began working for the land. We would just go into a state of meditation. We would get energy. We could just feel that going into the land for the land's healing. And I remember this one day in particular, there was this huge mound, and it was a burial mound on Pine Island, in the mounds. And that area now is owned by Randall Research, and they're always doing, research for that area, archaeological digs and such. But there was a wooden fence that kept us from going in and touching the mound, so we couldn't get real close to it, so we sat outside the fence. And I just remember sitting there feeling this horrible, horrible energy of so many things that had happened on that land. I remember this, I refer to it as a Native American chief. I could see the pain on his face. So I knew he was a very high stature in that community. And he was very angry because the burial mounds had been decimated. And, of course, that's very sacred, especially to Native Americans, or any natives as far as that goes. And I remember that Spirit gave me the words to say, to transmute the anger, bring in forgiveness. I actually saw this man's face. Of course, it was his spirit, but I saw it soften. And I saw all that fall away, all the anger. And it was just one of the most amazing experiences for me. And it seemed like, peace was coming to that land. Now, a little bit of that story, if you don't mind me sharing.
No, please do.
What I did not know is that Randall Research had been trying to buy the land that the burial mound was on, and it was owned by an individual who would not sell it. They would not sell it. They simply refused. That's why the fence was up. That was the boundary. And I got up one morning, and Spirit said, "You need to go out to the burial mound." And I called my friend. She could not go, so I went out by myself. And when I got there, there's a new addition. There's a new pathway. There's a gate that's open. So I go through the gate. Oh, my gosh, and I see the entire, what's left of it, I should say, of that burial mound. And it was beautiful, and it was peaceful, and there was a park bench where people could sit and meditate. Well, this owner, after the work was done, the owner of that property, now I don't know if they gifted it to Randall Research or if they bought it for something reasonable. I don't know that part. But Randall Research gained ownership of that so they could continue their research on that. And I thought, wow, Spirit, that's amazing, because they've been trying to buy it for like 20 years.
Is Randall Research doing good for it?
Well, it's just, they just do archaeological digs, and, they're just looking for history, just like any archaeological dig. They just want to know the history of the land.
Do you think that the natives are happy now that they have it?
I think they are, but the biggest thing is that I know that forgiveness took place.
Yeah. Oh.
So that was the gift. That was the true gift.
That's beautiful, and you were part of watching that, I guess.
Yeah.
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 Beautiful. And is that the time frame now that Spirit's asking you to now start doing work with the earth?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that was some of the first work that I did after leaving, doing the one-on-one sessions. So, yeah. And there was a lot of others, and, most of the time, I don't know what I'm going to do. Spirit will say, okay, on this date, you will go here, and you will do energy work. And I won't know until I get there it's going to happen. The energy will just flow through. If I need to take crystals, they'll tell me which ones. Sometimes they have me bury crystals for a certain amount of time and dig them up, take them somewhere, do energy work, because the words, they give me the words to say, the hand movements. It's like I am no longer in charge of my body. The ego has to go, sit on the sidelines, because that energy just flows through me and does whatever it needs to do to accomplish. Sometimes I have no idea what's accomplished.
So
until much later.
Are you healing some of the land? Like some of the stories, have you been like with the natives? I mean, are you healing some of the land? Are you holding light? Are you gridding?
Okay. It's yes to all those things. There has been. That's why, I don't really call myself anything in particular. Like when I was doing energy healing sessions, I would never call myself a medium. However, spirits would come in and give me messages to give the person. I mean, that's mediumship, but I don't call myself that. It could just, spirit works in just so many wondrous ways, so I'd never, ever put myself in a box.
I like it. I like it. You can't put yourself in a box. You can't.
No, it doesn't work well. So, yes, a lot of the work has been healing for the land. Oh, I could tell you so many stories, but also anchoring. I think this would be the primary thing, in at least in my mind, is anchoring the incoming energies for the ascension of human consciousness. Our sun, we used to never hear about solar flares and M-class, X-class flares and all that. Oh my gosh, we're being bombarded by the sun all the time. And it's that wonderful incoming energy, because finally, humanity, and we say awakening most of the time, I call it really, I think it's more accurate, a remembering, because we are remembering what this planet used to be, remembering who we truly are, at least getting a glimpse of it now. Mm-hmm. So anchoring those incoming energies is so important, because it's tough. It's tough on humanity. Everything about us is changing. Our physicality is changing from silicon to crystalline.
Yes.
So, yeah, a lot of changes.
Talk a little bit about the energies coming through. You mentioned the sun a little bit, because everybody talks about the sun is brighter. It's not yellow anymore. I remember when it was yellow when we were little. It's brighter. So talk a little bit about, are these the energies, these solar flares that are coming in? What's happening in your perception? What What's happening?
Okay, well, there are suns behind suns behind suns, but our sun delivers to us the light. Light is information. So the information is being anchored within the earth. It runs throughout the earth. It runs through her meridians, through her grid lines. And the people are impacted. And many, their spiritual and psychic abilities are awakening more so now than we've known for many thousands and thousands of years, because we've been in the dark ages. Mm-hmm. But there is a great awakening occurring now, and that is the energy that's being anchored to facilitate that awakening or remembering. Does that answer your question?
100%. What do you think the time frame? Like, is this like a full year?
Everybody wants to know that, and of course, Spirit and God, they will never tell you that.
Okay.
Because time is it's malleable. We jump timelines. So many things can happen just depending on human consciousness.
Yes.
So it would, I think, more accurately, it could be said that certain things will happen. Okay. And after certain things will happen, then this will happen, and this will facilitate, another level of awakening, and these things will happen, if that does make any sense.
100%.
So I think it's more about, the events that happen,
yes,
how humanity responds to those events, and that will dictate how fast that we ascend back into the higher states of consciousness.
Janet,
and return to a world of peace.
Janet, what a wonderful time to be alive.
Absolutely.
This is really
unequivocally.
It's just it's magnificent. That we're experiencing this every day. Let's talk because today's Monday and we are August 4th right now, 2024. Let's talk a little bit about, or August 5th, my bad. I apologize. It's Monday, August 5th. I don't even know what day we're on. Today's August 5th, Monday. Let's talk a little bit about Lionsgate, the portal. Can you explain a little bit about what this is? I know you're doing a lot of work with this, and explain just the ins and outs of it. Okay.
Of course, there are many very important times on the earth that we know are just very important to take note of, to meditate, to do our work, whatever that is, like equinoxes, solstices, 11/11, 8/8, which is Lionsgate. So it's a very, the words escape me, but it's a very important time that we need to take advantage of and not let it pass us by. And I know it's alignment of the planets. Now, I'm no astrologist. I have a great respect for astrology because it's a great help for us, but I don't understand it. It's not, it's not my cup of tea. All I know is that, it's a cosmic alignment. So the Earth and Sirius, the star Sirius, and Orion's belt are aligned during this portal of July 26th through August 12th, being the Lion's Gate. This year, it's a 888 because of the numerology. 2024 is an 8, so it's super powerful. It's the 888 portal of the Lion's Gate.
And that is happening on Thursday. What is your thought process of why this portal is so important? I've heard manifestation, I've heard love, healing. I've heard a whole bunch of different things. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, number one, it's bringing in abundance. And that's not really money to me. Abundance is so much more. Our relationships, our wisdom, all those things grow. It's a perfect time for people to get themselves in alignment with their own heart during this Lion's Gate and ask if, for instance, if they would like to know what their natural spiritual gifts are. They can ask for that. Believe me, they'll get an answer. They will start getting synchronicities that happen in their life to guide them in opening up those gifts. And sometimes it's absolutely instantaneous. They just start doing them. So it's abundance, spiritual gifts, And again, it's anchoring in the very powerful energy coming through this portal into the earth.
So will this portal will close up, but this portal will always be here. It's going to be anchored now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is that because it's 888, the triple?
I think it's much more powerful because of the numerology.
Okay, so it's like on steroids, kind of.
Yeah.
It's always anchored,
Yes.
but it's on steroids right now. Okay. And it goes until August the 12th?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
These are just really great for people to, I love how you said get into alignment with your heart. I mean, that's beautiful. I always say forgiveness. Who do you need to forgive? Maybe even forgive yourself for allowing some things happening that you feel guilty for, or shame, or any of that kind of stuff. I like how you had said, ask for your natural spiritual gifts. We're all spiritual. I always believe that there's some that are more connected than others.
It's all because we all have gifts.
Yeah,
all of it.
We're all spiritual, and we're all waking up, like you said, which is beautiful. Now, you're doing some special things also for this. Are you on Thursday? Are you in meditation? Are you going somewhere special? What would you be suggesting, and what will you be doing?
Well, when I ask Spirit what I'm supposed to be doing, like if I feel like I'm a little stagnant, I will say, what am I supposed to be doing, Spirit? What? And the answer is always the same. Do the work in front of you. Just do what you know to do. Mm. Be kind to people, whatever that is. But for me personally, during this Lion's Gate, I have been given some instruction. I had the great privilege of doing something on my bucket list, so to speak. I was able to go visit Stonehenge in September of last year.
Wow.
And just walking around, this structure, the energy was absolutely, it just knocked my socks off. So I'm walking around this structure, and I walked all the way around it, and, I just felt such a connection with the land, with the structure, and I know it's so much more than I can consciously know. So much deeper, wider. Spirit has told me that since I made the physical connection with Stonehenge, geographically, was there walking the land, that I would be anchoring energies into that part of the land, even from here, because honestly, there's no time or space in the world of spirit. And that Stonehenge is also connected to other areas which will receive these spiritual blessings and this anchoring in of the light that's coming in.
And the light is always coming in, is that correct?
The light is always coming in. It's just that sometimes it is so much more powerful than others, such as planetary alignments and equinoxes.
Yeah, so beautiful. I love the work that you're doing, and I love how connected you are, and I love that you're sharing all this wonderful information for people to understand. And as people are moving through their journey, you were just behind a desk at one time, and you found those natural gifts of your own and followed your heart. I think that's important.
And that's the only thing that I could ever offer advice to anyone, is simply follow your heart, because we're all aspects of God, Creator. If we can just realize our value and know, Jesus, Yeshua said, even greater things than these will you do. My Bible Belt. Information coming through.
No, I love it.
But it's so true. It's so true. Even greater things than he did, we can do. And we can. We are aspects of our living Creator. And that power courses through our veins and is always available to us. So if anybody wants to know what they can do, just ask. Just get quiet. Listen to the information that flows into your heart first your heart will inform your brain what to do if there is something that you need to do. I love the work of heart math. Are you familiar with heart math in California?
I am a little bit, and I have not researched it.
Oh, I bet you will. I bet you will now. They have done phenomenal work in the area of human consciousness. And one thing I remember, Roland McCready of Heart Math said this, and I think it was a movie or a documentary or something that he was in, but it always stuck with me. He said the heart knows what you're going to do before your brain does.
Wow.
And we all think it's happening in our brain. No. The brain is a machine. Your heart is who you are.
Amazing.
So if you can get quiet and listen to your heart, believe me, your brain will fall in line.
So true. So true. Janet, I love the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for all that you have done.
Thank you so much, Tanya. I appreciate you so much, sweet girl, and I still miss your beautiful smile.
Thank you. I love and adore you.
I love you. Mwah.